Hey, what's up, everybody? Mike Lindsley back with you for another ML Sports Take, brought to you by our great friends at Empower Federal Credit Union, Welch & Company Jewelers, and Hides of Liverpool. Make sure you go on over to hidesofliverpool.com and grab some gear. Wear that Hides of Liverpool apparel proud and loud. And, of course, if you're in and around Central New York, you're coming home for the holidays, etc., get to Hides for the best Hoffman hot dog you will literally have off the grill. Pair it with the favorite side like potato salad, mac salad, or your mac and cheese. And don't forget about gift cards as well for family and friends at Hides of Liverpool. All right, let's get to the four biggest concerns halfway through the season for the Buffalo Bills. And I'm going to go right in order of importance. Number one is, I still think the red zone offense is a complete and utter disaster. First and foremost, against the New York Jets, this team needed 6 field goals out of 8 attempts by Tyler Bass. And Tyler Bass, a guy who really every single time he kicks the football, it almost makes me brown in the pants. This guy is absolutely a circus show. Again, it's early in his tenure and all the rest, but you cannot rely on your kicker who seems to be that erratic. 1 minute he's drilling it through the middle, 48, 50 yards, and then the next minute he's missing a chip shot from 27. The red zone offense, when you get into, in the 20-yard line and inside that 20-yard line barrier, you got to convert, man. You got a number one wide receiver, one of the top wideouts in the game, is Stephon Diggs. You got John Brown. You got Cole Beasley underneath. You've now got the two-headed monster of Moss and Singletary, and you've got, when healthy, pretty good tight ends, although right now it pretty much is just Tyler Kroft or bust. The point is, when you get into the red zone, as many times as you did against the Jets, really all you need to do is score 2 more times, and that game is a complete destruction of the New York Jets. You take away 2 field goals, you put yourself to 15, what is that, quick math, 12, touchdown is 19, touchdowns 26, you win 26-10, it looks a lot better, even if you score a third time, it's 33-10, which is pretty much what the Bills should have done. The red zone offense has struggled mightily. You think about the Kansas City Chiefs game, that game, for as much as Kansas City was absolutely steamrolling the Bills at the line of scrimmage and with the run game and all the rest, and we'll get to that in a minute with the Bills defense, it was still a one-possession game in a lot of spots. Now, as frustrating as that can be as a fan, because you're like, well, geez, it's only a one-possession game, but I feel like this team is not going to win the game. It's an incredibly frustrating feeling to have. It was still there for the taking. It was a one-possession game. The Bills' offense could not get that extra red zone touchdown, and it was extremely difficult to watch. You think about the other games as well. I mean, the game even just this past Sunday against the Patriots had plenty of more opportunities to get it done. You think about the early games in the year, again, against the Jets, against the Dolphins. The Bills, couldn't get into the end zone, in the red zone. They went really, really conservative in different points of the game, late first half, early second half. And again, you take conservative nature by Brian Daboll, he just flips a switch and decides to do it, coupled with the fact when you don't get in the red zone, it's a dangerous game to play. So I think number one is still red zone efficiency. Number two, an area the Bills are really struggling here the last 4 weeks against Tennessee, Kansas City, and Miami, and the Jets and New England, respectively, is the deep ball. Now, I'm not even talking about 20 yards, 30 yards. I'm talking about even just 10 yards. I would say 10 yards and beyond, the longer type pass. Josh Allen statistically right now is the worst quarterback in the league the last few weeks in the National Football League. And I got to tell you, I mean, this has been a huge, huge problem because the Bills aren't getting the big chunk yardage to move the chains. They're having to go ahead and throw underneath as teams are playing 2 safeties high as far as that, soft zone coverage or wall zone coverage. And the Bills just aren't getting the deep throw. They're not getting Stephon Diggs for 15, John Brown for 10, 15. I know he's been injured recently, just came back against New England, but they've got to start getting more of those 10 to 15 to 20-yard gains down the field because that's really where the NFL is right now. Look at Russell Wilson to DK Metcalf. Look at Patrick Mahomes to all of the array of weapons that he has. Look at the big Ben Roethlisberger weapons for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Look at all the teams that are getting the offense going week in, week out. They're consistently getting balls down the field. The Bills, the first 4 weeks did it. Jets, Dolphins on occasion, and of course, the games against Vegas and the Rams. But boy, since that point, the Bills really struggling to throw the ball 10 yards and beyond. The Bills have got to figure out a way to do that, especially if teams keep on playing zone, which you could see with the likes of the Cardinals and the Steelers and the 49ers and this week against the Seattle Seahawks. The third key for me, man, it's the defense just as a whole. I know that most people are concentrating on, the run defense being deplorable. across the board. Kansas City ran it down the Bills' throats, led by Clyde Edwards-Helaire. You had a situation yesterday where New England was running it all over the place. You've had the Jets, of course, at times with Frank Gore in the first half running it all over them. But in fairness, the Bills also did a really good job against Josh Jacobs of the Raiders and Derrick Henry of the Tennessee Titans. My God, you think about Tennessee, if you stop Derrick Henry and stack the box, force Ryan Tannehill to get into a little bit of that pressure blitz sort of run out of the zone and throw it on the run, you can beat Tennessee. Well, the Bills failed in every other aspect, of course, that I've already talked about, plus third down efficiency and all the rest on defense. Ryan Tannehill was still able to make throws, and when he rolled out, there was nobody there for the Bills' defense. So it didn't matter if you stopped Henry because you couldn't stop Tannehill on the rollouts, either running it or throwing it. And so the Bills really as a whole, if it's not stopping the run, it's definitely not being able to stop the middle of the field. And you wonder in coverage situations, they've had multiple guys fail. Teron Johnson's been a disaster as far as covering. You've had A.J. Klein, a guy who's completely failed in free agency. Actually, one of Brandon Beane's flops as a free agent. I mean, Brandon Beane hasn't missed much, but a couple of guys come to mind. Overall, Tyler Kroft has been a flop overall. So far, A.J. Klein has been a flop. And you have to wonder defensively, how much do they miss right now? Star Latulele or Lorenzo Alexander retiring last year, a guy who was super versatile. Matt Milano being injured doesn't help, of course, because that then dips into your depth at linebacker. And then you got to plug A.J. Klein in there. You got to kind of get some other folks involved. And I just think that the Bills right now on defense, a third down and longs, they still can't stop those. If it's not that, it's the run. Yesterday against New England, they started out really strong. They started out hungry. And all of a sudden, the Bills, it was 14-6. They let a touchdown in, a 2-point conversion in. The Patriots try the onside kick. The Bills get the short field. They score a touchdown. And then the Bills defense lets New England run right down the field again and tie the game up. And oh, by the way, after the Bills tried to score late in the game, Gabe Davis has a ball completely go through his hands from Josh Allen. Next thing you know, Tyler Bass kicks a field goal. New England takes the ball, and they're going down the field. And if it wasn't for Zimmer stripping the ball from behind of Cam Newton, I'm almost convinced New England takes that ball in. And today, Western New York calls into work in complete and utter sadness from losing yet again to the Patriots without Tom Brady being the quarterback. I mean, my goodness, could you have imagined if that would have happened? For as ugly as that game was yesterday, the best case scenario happened. The Bills got the turnover late and won the football game. Could you have imagined if the Bills lost and they were 5-3 today? As it turns out, they're 6-2, winning ugly. Rather have 6-2 than losing in any way, shape, or form and being 5-3. But the point is, the Bills' defense is getting shredded, and they've got to figure out a way. And I'm talking about overall here. I don't care if it's the middle of the field. I don't care if it's third and long. I don't care if it's the secondary. I don't care if it's injured guys. The depth guys not coming in. I think the front of the defensive line has been wildly inconsistent as well. Finally, Jerry Hughes really coming on. But where's Trent Murphy? Where's Harrison Phillips? Ed Oliver, completely and utterly inconsistent this entire year. And that leads me to the fourth thing. Ed Oliver yesterday, horrendous penalty. What is going on with the discipline of this Sean McDermott team? A team that is supposed to not be Rex Ryan's team, Dick Duran's team, Mike Mularkey's team, right? Greg Roman's team. It's not supposed to be those teams. It's supposed to be a team with better discipline. Well, guess what? Every single week, the flags are flying. It doesn't matter if it's a holding penalty, illegal formation penalties down the field hurting them. That was one case last week that cost the Bills a red zone touchdown perhaps against the Jets. There's too many holds. There's too many lining up incorrectly. There's too much BS. There's too many third down penalties. There's too many drive killers. There's too much illegal formations, illegal lining up, all the rest. There's too many encroachments. The Bills have got to clean it up from Ed Oliver to the back end with the secondary to the offensive lineman. Deion Dawkins had a bad hold yesterday. Time to clean it up. So for the Bills, again, red zone offense. Got to get the deep ball going 10 yards and beyond. Defense as a whole, start to clean that up a little bit, obviously. If it's not the run game, it's third and long, or it's something else. Got to clean up the defense. And number 4, of course, is the discipline. The penalties need to be cleaned up. We have a whole half season to go in the NFL.